Welcome to the cllub. More Roblox. Enjoy the Danzig.
Yes, red for stop, green for go. And, surely you know about backing signals. Backing signals? What are those? It's when the red light on a signal blinks. That means an engine needs to back up all the way to the nearest station. Do those happen often? No, very rare. But it's something to take on board. All right then. Thank you for that, Diesel. I'll get going then. Bye. Backing signals, Diesel? Even crook, you're still a devious blighter, aren't you? And proud of it. As much as I would like to blame Diesel for what happened next, I don't think it would be fair of me to do so. In case it wasn't obvious enough, the devious shunter was indeed pulling Sam's coupling. Backing signals have long been used as a joke on Britain's railways, a prank pulled on inexperienced crews and engines. But the unspoken rule about using it is to make the supposed signal borderline outlandish, so that the odds of it happening are extremely small. To that end, Diesel had done the right thing. After all, the chances of a blinking red light at a signal were very unlikely. But it should go without saying, it did happen. Sam set off from the China Clay pits on time. She maintained a brisk pace along the branch line, carefully observing every signal that she passed. But as she neared Sudbury Station, the wind began to pick up. The signal at the station rattled in the breeze, causing the semaphore arm to quiver. This made it seem like the red light was indeed blinking. When Sam noticed this, she braked hard and prepared to reverse. But this sudden reaction caused the trucks to bump into her, and she was knocked off the rails. After reporting this, the station master asked why she had stopped so suddenly. She explained why, and her embarrassment turned to fury after the station master told her she'd been had. And mark my words, she tore into Diesel the next time she saw him. I wish I could say that was the worst that came of the incident, but it wasn't. All trains along the Brendan branch were delayed or cancelled while Sam was being rescued. This only worsened our public image, especially after the exact circumstances surrounding it were leaked to the press. Mr. Corbett! Mr. Corbett! Are you running an unsafe railway? Do your engines enjoy pulling pranks at the expense of safety? How can the public trust this company? One at a time! One at a time! Do you have the necessary qualities to lead? Of course I do. Is it true you've been transferring company funds to Switzerland? What? No! Where'd you get such a ridiculous... Excuse me, Mr. Corbett. Maybe I should... Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the press and the public, I cannot apologize strongly enough for yesterday's incident. Rest assured, those responsible have been disciplined and measures have been taken to avoid future mishaps. Mr. Freeman, this is hardly the first mishap on this railway. The recent accident with number 5, that engine has a name, you know, and it is James. And as we have previously stated, that was a culmination of factors with unfortunate consequences. Mr. Freeman, you can't deny this island has a rather poor safety record. Why should people continue using it? Because it is staffed by a lot of dedicated, hard-working men and locomotives who strive above everything else to get the job done. Surely no one on this island can deny that. Are there any more questions? Yes. Mr. Corbett, in light of recent events, do you think your chances of becoming controller have been compromised? No, I don't. And if Mr. Freeman becomes controller, will you stay on the board? No comment. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to make your way into the station, we are offering a free morning tea. Do enjoy. Well done, Giles. Nice touch mentioning James by name rather than number. Did you have to look that up? I did. Just as I also looked up an acquaintance from the Inland Revenue Service. He had some very interesting things to say about you. Perhaps you might consider withdrawing from the running as controller. I would. if not for the choice words relayed to me by a certain refreshment lady from the cllub Railway. I see. So it really is up to the board. So it would seem. May the best man win. I will. So, gentlemen, Judgment Day has come. What time was the board meeting? Around 1 o'clock. They've likely made a decision by now. So who's our new controller going to be, lads? Our skinflint financial director? Or our sleazy public relations officer? My money's on Freeman. He received a lot of positive press from yesterday's conference. I'd have to agree. Reggie said the passengers left crumbs all over his coaches from that morning tea he threw. If it really is that easy for him to manipulate the public, maybe he should run for Parliament. Aye, he could probably do less damage in the House of Commons. Then again, if he doesn't become our controller, we'll be stuck with Corbett. And after insulting him while he was within earshot, my future on this railway seems grim. I wouldn't worry too much about it, Gordon. Why not, Thomas? Because our new controller ain't Corbett. How do you know? I was at Brendan when the decision was made. I guess that means it's Freeman then. No. Thomas, this isn't the time for jokes. I'm not joking, Toby. Neither got the job. Wait, what? Why not? There was a surprise candidate, and he got it. A surprise candidate? Who was it? You wouldn't believe me if I told you, so I'll show you. Lads, meet our new controller. None of us could believe our eyes. We were speechless as our jaws hit the ground. Even though we'd heard about his recent troubles, we never thought it would be enough to bring him back to Sodor. While it was a shock to us at the time, I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to you when I say that the man to emerge from Thomas's cab was none other than the Fat Controller himself. The train, for its type, is the most powerful vehicle on land. And the engines of Sodor are the power behind the docks, industries, and branch lines that make up the world-renowned Northwestern Railway. These are the stories of Sodor. Hello, engines. Long time no see. How are you? Very confused, Sir Topham. Don't misunderstand. I think I speak for all of us when I say it's a pleasure to see you again. We just didn't think it would be as your new controller. That's quite understandable. How is that possible, sir? How can you be our controller and director of the railway board? I can't, Toby. That's why I'll be stepping down as director. Due respect, sir, wouldn't that be a step backwards career-wise? I don't see it that way. But in light of recent events, I think it would be the best thing for all of us. All of us, sir? No need to be coy, Gordon. I'm aware that you're aware of my recent problems, just as I've been keeping abreast of your troubles. Pardon me, sir, but how exactly did you get our board of directors to pick you? Well, it's quite the story. Would you like to hear it? Oh, yes, sir. Anything for a bit of variety on this island. Very funny, Gordon. Excuse me? Nothing, sir. Please continue. And this was the story he told. I know my constant mentioning of the war must be getting tiresome at this point, but it really is unavoidable. The railways had played a vital part in keeping the nation afloat, and were a core component to its recovery. A major reason why they had proven so effective was largely thanks to the Fat Controller. Before the war, he implemented policies that streamlined procedures and bolstered efficiency across the network. And during the war, he visited countless yards and depots, providing stirring speeches to engines and staff alike. The papers titled him the Churchill of trains. But unlike the Prime Minister, Sir Topham was able to keep his position when the fighting was done. Phew, the ashes were still falling over Hiroshima when Clement Attlee and his mob broke away from the wartime coalition government, which facilitated the need for an election. I don't pretend to know everything or anything about politics, but I was still astounded that Churchill wasn't re-elected. Attlee took power on the platform of social reforms and industrial nationalization, as I've mentioned before. Sir Topham was initially in favor of nationalizing the railways and began setting the wheels in motion to carry it out. But as time went on, he began having doubts about the whole idea. Unfortunately, he seemed to be the only one. Have you had the chance to review the proposals, Sir Topham? I have, Mr. Hodges, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not happy with them. I have a number of issues I'd like to discuss. Of course, Sir Topham. Where do you want to begin? With these financial projections, they are completely unrealistic and unsustainable. My people have run the numbers, and we've estimated British Railways stands to lose up to £300,000 a day by 1962. That's assuming it survives till then. We can minimize those losses so long as we make the necessary cuts. You're talking about a sizable reduction in staff and services. That's bound to cause a lot of public discontent. Well, these are hard times, Sir Topham. I'm sure they'll understand the need for such economies. Do you think they'll understand the rampant bureaucracy of British Railways? I beg your pardon. I reviewed the proposed staffing figures for BR, and it seems to me that for every driver, fireman, and station master getting the sack, 2 administrators are being employed. Surely you understand the need for effective and efficient administration? Yes, but if we cull the number of operational staff too much, there won't be anyone to administer. You have a point, Sir Topham. Perhaps we should review that section. You mean leave it as is? Excuse me? Nothing. Tell me something, Mr. Hodges. When are these proposals going to be promulgated? Barring objections and revisions, within 3 months, I'd say. Is there still time for other submissions? Well, yes, but who would... You've written your own proposals? I have, with the assistance of my staff and engines. Why would you consult the engines? Because any proposal concerning railways is bound to affect them, don't you think? Sir Topham, this is highly irregular. Oh, well, if you prefer the editor of the Times to hear them before you... No, Sir Topham. I apologize for my wording. I meant to say, while irregular, we would still be delighted to hear them. Marvelous. Well, I'm proposing that rather than outright nationalizing the railways, the network shall be divided into small geographical regions. Each will become its own private company, responsible for maintaining the track, the stations, the staff, and so forth. But that's more or less the system we have now. Yes, but with some significant differences. While each of these companies will be privately owned and run, they will receive government subsidies provided they meet certain criteria, reducing costs, following timetables, maintaining safety standards, and so forth. Under this scheme, the overall cost to the government will be minimal and eliminate the need for a massive central bureaucracy. And what about the engines and rolling stock? Just like now, they will be purchased by individual companies from workshops around the country. However, the manufacturing will be regulated by the state to ensure they are built to a uniform standard and design, reducing overall maintenance and running costs. So what do you think? Most original and imaginative, Sir Topham. We'll definitely take your proposals under advisement, and I'll be sure to have a word with the Minister. Splendid. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your help, William. You've been a lifesaver. My pleasure, Albert. Glad to be of assistance. That's Mr. Williams' whole philosophy. Always willing and happy to help. Come on, Toad. You're embarrassing me. Not half as embarrassing as an emperor admitting to his subjects he's not a god. You talking about that Japanese bloke? What was his name? Hiro? Hirohito. I know that was months ago, but it still makes me chuckle. I think it's downright disgraceful for a man to pretend he's a god. Yes, quite. Just goes to show how daft folk are when subjected to the right amount of authority, charisma, and personality. Good morning, engines. Good morning, Sir Topham. How was your meeting at the Department of Transport yesterday? Well, I voiced my objections to their proposals, and they shot down each one. So about as expected. Indeed. They seem to take particular exception to my jab at the overmanning of the clerical and administrative side of British Railways. Looking back, I should have been more tactful in such a criticism. Due respect, Sir Topham, if you were tactful, you wouldn't be you. Very true, William. What did they say about your proposals, sir? You mean our proposals, Albert. They were certainly taken off guard. That Hodges chap then said it was highly irregular of me to present them the way I did. He quickly changed his tune after I insinuated the editor of the Times might end up reading them first. You didn't, sir. I did. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll do much good. Did they still reject them? More or less. Hodges called our proposals original and imaginative. Oh dear. I don't follow, sir. Why is that a bad thing? Because, Toad, original and imaginative is the most damning phrase a bureaucrat can use. It's a polite way of saying, we don't like your idea, so stuff it. So, are you going to share our proposals with the Times, Sir Topham? Of course not. That would be highly improper. As long as I'm director of the Railway Board, we will not stoop to such underhanded behaviour. Sir Topham! Morning, Joe. What's the matter? A friend of mine just rang to give me a heads up about a story that'll be in today's papers. What sort of story? You're not going to like it. Indeed, the stout director was furious, as every newspaper in the country had the same story to share. The proposals for British Railways. Every key detail was leaked to the public, from the cutbacks to the staffing estimates. This caused profound public outrage, as no community wanted to risk losing its livelihood. While the politicians pointed fingers, the police conducted an investigation, and unfortunately, their findings were just as damaging. It turned out the source of the leak was a member of the Railway Board, one who, like Sir Topham, strongly disagreed with the proposals. The director in question, who shall remain nameless, was not only sacked, he was also sent to jail for this unauthorized disclosure of a confidential document. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but it wasn't. There was another leak. This time, it was a section of the minutes taken during Sir Topham's meeting at the Department of Transport. Specifically, the section where he threatened to disclose his own proposals. Of course, this led to accusations the Fact Controller had authorized and even ordered the original leak to take place. Though he and the culprit vehemently denied this, it didn't seem to matter. The renewed outrage put Sir Topham on the defensive, overshadowing the backlash to the original leak. Around that time,
There we go.
he got a letter from Mr. Zorro's wife, asking him to come to Sodor to visit. He seized this opportunity to get out of London and away from the bad press. However, his trip to the island was not exactly straightforward.
Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you that due to technical difficulties, all trains bound for the island of Sodor will terminate at this station. For those passengers looking to travel to Sodor, bus services to the local marina are on offer with connecting ferry rides to the island. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your cooperation.
I'm sorry for this, Sir Topham. It's not your fault, Scott. Don't worry about it. What could the technical difficulties be? I imagine it's to do with the lift bridge to Sodor. It was last time. Last time? Yes, sir. The last time I ran the express to Sodor. Well, tried to. I only made it this far then, too. Your last express was only 2 weeks ago. Does it go down often? Yes, sir. Every time a train has to pass over. But in all seriousness, no. It used to run quite properly until they started neglecting the maintenance. Is that because Mr. Corbett won't authorize the expenditure? Yes, sir. How'd you know? I know of Mr. Corbett's penny pinching, but I never thought it would extend to such important infrastructure. While on Sodor, I may have a few words with him. You mean you're going on, sir? Of course. Why wouldn't I? I just thought you didn't like boats. I don't like boats. But I've come this far, so I may as well go the whole way. Very good, sir. Just remember, if you start to feel queasy, lock your gaze on a distant object and don't look away. Last time I did that, the object turned into a periscope. I'm sorry, sir? What did you say? Never mind. Thank you for the advice, Scott. I will see you on my return. Good luck, sir. You don't look all that happy, Stuart. Is something wrong? Indeed, Bertie. Our passenger numbers have been dwindling these past few months. I'm sorry to hear that. But from what I understand, railways don't make that much money off such a service. You're better off with freight contracts. Those have been drying up too, and I blame you lot on the roads. You what? What did I...
Bye, guys.